Our last question, we've received a lot of feedback from our BIPOC audience that oftentimes they're the only person of color in their pods. What is one way that we can support our BIPOC audience? Should we have an all BIPOC pod? How do we deal with potential tokenism? Could you discuss a little bit more about how to help and support our audience?
Yeah, no, so we want our BIPOC audience to feel heard. We want their voices to be loud and clear. And that's one reason why, actually, it's primary reason for designing Urge in this program. And we designed the curriculum to make it for everybody, people who are in the majority and people who are racially minoritized. For example, we have upcoming sessions dedicated to Indigenous communities and their knowledge. We have upcoming sessions dedicated to discovering STEM identity as a BIPOC student. We have sessions dedicated to coping with racism, mental health, and self-care for BIPOC geoscientists. We have inclusivity tips on how to find your communities. Just the last interview, we had one part that was geared towards understanding the psychology behind white privilege and yourself as a white individual and how it relates to racism. But we also had one that's geared towards discovering and understanding how to find and support your identity as a BIPOC student, especially when you're in your first year. And so Urge was created for everybody. And what we don't want is we don't want the tokenism, right? We don't want BIPOC individuals to suffer from the same things we are unlearning. And here, unlearning is really not about individuals unlearning, but the discipline unlearning racism. And so when it says unlearning racism, it's not that we're BIPOC and so we don't need to unlearn racism. It's about the discipline and the structures and the policies unlearning racism. And so this is for everybody. Urge is for everybody. And we don't want tokenism. And which is, we want to mitigate this as much as possible. And so, we've received some inquiries from BIPOC audience about the possibility of generating an all BIPOC pods. And this is something that I've thought about and the Urge team has thought about very critically. And so we understand the value of having all BIPOC pods. I understand the value of having all BIPOC pods. Gabe understands the value of having that. And we also understand the value or see the value of BIPOC geoscientists working within their institutions to generate change and to develop anti-racist policies and strategies, which is one of the goals of Urge. But this will leave BIPOC geoscientists prone to experiences, or it may leave them prone to experiencing tokenism if you're within majority white pods, which again is something we want to prevent. So what we've done is we've developed a document for pod leaders to help with mitigating tokenism, as well as other tips for facilitating pods. And this will be going out within the email. So that's one step that we're taking, but that's not necessarily a quick fix, right? There's some greater issues to address if our BIPOC audience's voices are being overshadowed or will become overshadowed. And so we want BIPOC people to feel empowered to make change. Therefore, we are planning on scheduling a session for just our BIPOC audience to listen to the voices and concerns for BIPOC individuals participating in majority white pods to actually present or have a feel of BIPOC individual, a BIPOC only pod, right? This session would be to present options for best ways of supporting BIPOC individuals in these pods, ask for feedback on what's been going well, what hasn't been going well, but also just a space to discuss some of the issues as BIPOC geoscientists. And we'll try to do 2 of these events. And so what I worry about is that if we need to make changes within our discipline and then we go into pods that are only BIPOC and institutional or cross-institutional or cross-organizational, then all the policies that get created at our institutions will be done by people who are white. And so if all the policies that are created by institutions are done by people who are white, then all the BIPOC individuals at those institutions are relinquishing their power at their institution or relinquishing their voices. And so it would take eventually, and so we have a lot of BIPOC scholars and experts and personal experiences being shared. But if we go to the pods and we only have white voices, and those voices are the only ones who create the policies, then the BIPOC individuals in that department miss a chance to say department-specific things. And we want to be able to avoid tokenism, but also allow BIPOC individuals to have that voice in their departments. The other part of this is that at the BIPOC only sessions, if we touch on some of the main issues and then we put out a document in the summer of like what came off this document, or in the urge page where you can look at a lot of documents, the hope is that we'll get a more crowdsourced or blended or more substantial inputs to our policies that we designed. So hopefully I've illustrated the complexities around thinking about this topic. And we'll continue to think about them. We'll continue to think about the timing, deliverable dates, etc. But we wanted to make this video to just kind of like answer some of these questions and discuss the complexities of the program decisions.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, thank you so much. And I understand there's still a lot of questions out there. So if there's questions that you have, they might have been answered already in the frequently asked questions page on our website. And if you don't see what you're looking for, you can go ahead and shoot us an email at info.yourgeoscience@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you.
And it's best to email that instead of me.
Yes.
Because what I will do is forward it to info@urge. And sometimes it's fun.
Thank you, Vashan, for sitting down today and giving us all these, answering some questions that are really important that people have been asking. It's something that we've heard a lot of. And all of this information is going to be coming out to our pod leaders this next Sunday, along with the how to facilitate a pod document, the polls for our meeting times, closed captionings, everything that we're covering in this video will be coming out on Sunday.